I would say don't ruminate on decisions. Make the decision and move on. When we go back to the two challenges I mentioned around speed of innovation and speed of information, you don't have time to ruminate. Make the decision and move on is my best advice to you. In this day and age, you've got to act.
Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored, where tech leaders drop the filters and just tell it like it is. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, serial technology entrepreneur, Amazon best-selling author of the book Fail Hard, Win Big, and CEO of Sonatafy Technology, a software delivery partner for firms throughout the U.S. Today, I am joined by Martin Mrugal, who's a longtime tech industry veteran, held leadership roles at companies like SAP and Citrix, and is now the CEO of Alchemer, industry-leading customer feedback platform. We're going to have some fun. Martin, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here.
You bet. Tell us about Alchemer.
So Alchemer, as you said, is a customer feedback platform. It was founded in 2007 by an entrepreneur who recognized that there was an opportunity for an easy-to-use, easy-to-implement, low total cost of ownership solution in the space, and he felt like that wasn't happening and saw an opportunity. And, by 2012, they had 150,000 users and 2 million surveys out there, and the company just grew exponentially from there. In 2022, Alchemer was acquired by KKR. So we are a KKR portfolio company. In 2023, we made an acquisition of a company called Untitled, which provides digital for mobile phone and website feedback. And then recently we made an acquisition of a company called Chatmeter, which gives us social media and reputation monitoring as well. So we have about 13,000 customers worldwide, and doing great.
Awesome. Now, you've been at the company about a year and a half. No doubt your credentials are amazing, but how did you land your current position? That's what people always want to know, because last time I checked, you don't just apply on LinkedIn and get a CEO or CTO role.
So the truth is, Steve, I was actually going to retire. And I took about a year off and had an amazing time. And then I started getting a little bit curious, and I was like, maybe I'm not quite ready to retire yet. And I was on a board, and that was fun. And then the more time I spent with the CEO of the board I'm on, the more time I was like, gosh, man, it'd be nice to jump back in. And then I started fielding calls, and KKR called, and the rest is history. I mean, we hit it off from the very beginning of meeting with them in New York, and the customer experience space is completely in my wheelhouse. It's been an amazing opportunity.
I love it. My book, Fail Hard, Win Big, is about my 30 ventures that I've had. 20 of them failed and 10 succeeded. And I had a big exit a week before my 30th birthday, where in most people's terms, I could have been retired. And my kids were young, and my wife and kids, we left on an 8-month vacation with no plan. And about a month and a half in, I was going nuts. I divested from online companies. I had a big exit. And my wife just looked at me. She's like, honey, I love you. You need challenges to solve and businesses to run. And it was a great lesson. Maybe I'm sick in the head like that, but so it sounds like you got antsy there.
Yeah, totally. I have a bunch of hobbies. I ski, I race bikes still as a master cyclist, I motorcycle. I mean, I do a lot of things, but I miss that. I miss that business edge. I missed the competition. I missed the innovation. I just missed it all. And I still had a big network, and I felt like you acquire all of these skills and capabilities, Steve, and you want to put them back to work. Like, you want to pay it back to a certain extent.
I love it. So tell us about some cool and innovative projects you guys are working on that are on your 2026 roadmap.
Yeah. So, everyone's talking about AI, and AI is going to eat software for lunch, and we can talk about that too. But, we've got some really cool things that have just come out. We announced a new analytics and dashboard platform that we can start to take all of the different feedback from different sources into one common analytics platform, and then basically serve up all of the trends, all of the analysis. It's one thing to collect the data. It's another thing to basically use that data to inform business processes, business decisions, and act on them. And so we're super excited about our new dashboard product that's come out, and we believe it's going to be a game changer. And part of that is because we're using natural language processing to basically render dashboards. I think one of the big challenges that not just the feedback space and customer success space has felt, and in market research in general, but just really across industries, is you have all this data, you're sitting on all this data, but then you've got to use all these complex tools to go in and analyze it. And you need IT staff and resources. And one of our founding principles when we were creating this project was, we don't want to do any of that, right? We want to be able to enable and empower the users to build this very seamlessly. So create a dashboard that will show me my NPS for the last 6 months and compare these variables in these geographies. Bang, done, right? You don't have to know code. You don't have to know a specific analytics platform. It just happens. So we're super excited about that. And it's embedding AI in there. So we're using open text analysis. Again, I mentioned natural language processing. So we're making it as easy as possible for the user to basically take the information, synthesize it, and then drive business value and business process from it.
Love it. Now, certainly we're all drowning in data. And for a lot of things, you need a team of data scientists and engineers to interpret the data. And so I'm a big believer in, and let's face it, we talk about AI and the hype about AI. I call bullshit that AI is, going to ruin software companies, ruin SaaS platforms. It's a great tool to enhance things, but I'm pretty sure within my lifetime, it's not replacing software companies. That for software engineers, it's helping them be more productive and evolve their role. But I don't see it taking over everything. Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And to the point where I'm actually making some investments in software because it's down. I mean, if you look, since January 1st, the software side of the S&P 500 is down 25%. And the S&P is still up a couple of percent. So it tells you just how far it's been penalized. It's to me, it's a buying opportunity, right? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, Steve. So I do not believe that. And especially all my experience, 20 plus years in enterprise software, I came from a point where companies were trying to rectify the problems of the past because they had these disparate systems in different functional areas of the business. And one of the things that enterprise resource planning did is it brought all that together and integrated it, right, with a common data model, common user interface, et cetera. And so that governance around enterprise software is not going to go away. The security aspects are not going away. And so, will there be opportunities for agentic and agents to come in and do certain things? Absolutely. There's no question. And you're going to have software companies that are going to take advantage of AI like Alchemer is and make it easier for users to use the product, streamline business processes, et cetera. But you're not going to get away from all of those other aspects that enterprise software brings, right? The standards, the compliance, et cetera. So that's why I don't think it's going away either, Steve. I agree with you.
You are guest 178 on Software Leaders Uncensored. Only top technology executives are on this show. And I could say on the 178 episodes, I've had one person seem to think AI was going to take over the need for SaaS companies, for software developers. This individual is very smart, but he was under 30. And I think he was trying to more from a PR perspective than an uncensored, let's tell it like it really is perspective.
Yeah. And look, make no mistake. Is it exciting? It's absolutely exciting, the capabilities that it can bring. And we're leveraging it. And if there's one thing that probably keeps me and other tech executives up at night, it's, are we doing it fast enough? Right. And so, it changes the playing field. So if you don't think that AI is going to change the playing field, you're wrong. It absolutely will. And it is.
There's those who are going to use AI for everything. And then there's everyone else, and that everyone else will be left behind.
Absolutely. There's no question.
Tell us quickly about your product and software engineering teams, how many you have, your business model, if you're remote, where they're located.
Yeah, sure. So we are fortunate that we are located just outside of Boulder, Colorado, in Louisville, Colorado. It's a beautiful area. It's right on the Flatirons. Just an incredible business climate. So it's not hard for us to attract talent, fortunately, because of the location that we're in. And we have about 75, software developers, and we're expanding that right now, as a matter of fact. And then we also have some partners that we use around the world to augment our core staff as well. And our product is really a couple of things. So we have a direct side of feedback. By direct, I mean we have survey capability, and then we have digital, and then we have open text analysis. That's all direct feedback that customers are providing, right? And users are providing, or employees are providing. And then there's the indirect side of the business, which is what's going on with social media, ratings and reviews, listings, Google, like all of that social aspect is in what we call indirect data. And so our product spans all the signals that a company needs to keep track of what clients are really telling them. And so we have a variety of different users. We have traditional market researchers. We have customer success leaders and managers that use our product. We also have product managers that are using our product, especially on the digital side for web analytics, for web feedback, mobile feedback, etc. So we have large companies that use it for that as well. And you sometimes will see kind of love dialogue. Do you love our app? And then you click it and they'll say, hey, what are a couple things that you love about our app? And that's informing product managers about what features and functions. So it's used by product management. And then the fourth kind of use case, if you will, is HR and employee feedback as well. So it spans feedback across the enterprise.
Your product team's got to be bombarded because your platform's a customer feedback platform. And then you have, outside of that, you have all the normal things a SaaS company would have around that. That's product overload.
I have a great example for you. So the board asked, about, they said, hey, we want to do a deep dive into your roadmap. And like, what are you guys planning in 2026 and why? And so what we did is we took them through our own market research that we had been doing in 2025, from like June and July of 2025. And then we did it sequentially through the next several months. And so the first thing we started with is, here's what the market is doing. Here's what our customers are telling us. Here's what our competitors are doing. And this is informing the roadmap in these ways. When you start that way, with that kind of analysis and feedback, it makes that conversation go, it's so much easier to have that conversation with your board.
Now, are you guys on-site, hybrid, remote company?
We're hybrid. We're hybrids. Quite a few people come into our Louisville, Colorado office. And we encourage that, generally 3 days a week, typically. And, we have a bunch of team meetings and things like that. Once a month, we'll have, what we call a company huddle where we get all the employees together, both online and remotely. And then we also have a pretty large contingent in San Diego as well through the acquisition of Chatmere. But we're hybrid, and we believe in hybrid. I mean, I've worked hybrid my entire life in the tech industry. And it's just when you mentioned SAP, SAP didn't care where you worked. They just wanted to make sure you got the work done, right? And that's my philosophy as an executive as well.
I like it. So if you would, Martin, share your observation of the pressure companies are under to deliver value to customers faster. I mean, I can't think of a better person to ask.
So the first pressure point is the speed of innovation. It is so fast. And it's basically as slow as it's going to be in the future, right? It's only going to speed up. And so the speed of innovation is a huge pressure point for companies because they're concerned about the competitive dynamics. They're concerned about new entrants coming in, right? And you're seeing that across industries now. So speed of innovation is one of the big challenges. And one of the ways that companies use our product, for example, is to maintain the pulse of what's going on with their clientele in terms of trends, product challenges, feedback from product usage, etc. Right? You have to stay on top of that. And so speed of innovation is critical to making sure that you're constantly on the right edge of innovation. You're putting all of your money where you need to. And I think that's a big challenge for executive teams and boards, you're making some big bets as this innovation acceleration continues, and you have to make sure those big bets are right. So that's the first one. The second one is just the speed of information, right? And we talked a little bit earlier about how much information is out there in social media, and think about viral videos, right? Something goes wrong and you all of a sudden it's a viral video with millions of views. And so that speed of information is critical to make sure that you are automating the way that you are addressing product challenges, or whether you're in a product market or you're in a food and bev or anything like that. Like, you have to be able to respond in real time and make sure that if something bad happens, it doesn't go viral and it hurts your brand. And I think there's been plenty of examples over the last couple of years of brands who've really taken a hit because of some challenges that have come out of viral videos and social media. So I think the speed of information is critical. So you combine the speed of innovation and the speed of information, and you really have to make sure that your company is in a position to react very, very quickly to trends and changes and challenges in the business.
So running a customer feedback platform in a world where people are drowning in surveys, tell me your opinion. Are surveys dying, or are companies just using them badly? What's your thoughts here?
There is no question that, there's a tendency to over-survey, right? I don't think anyone would argue with that. The reason why companies over-survey, first of all, the feedback, they genuinely are interested in the feedback from customers and what's right and what's wrong. I think where it breaks down is acting on that feedback, understanding that massive amount of feedback that's coming at them, and what is real and what is priority number one, and how do we act on that, right? I think that it's incumbent on us in this industry to make sure that we are doing as much as we can to automate that process and make it easier for customers to respond, and not just have to fill out, 100 question survey or something like that. The other thing that I think that is incumbent on us is to make sure that we're taking all those feedback signals, right? Because you can certainly survey and you can use digital apps and mobile applications and website feedback, but you also have to keep track of all that indirect feedback that's coming at you from social media and reputation and everything else, Google ratings and reviews, etc. And so you've got a bunch of different signals across the company that you need to take advantage of. And survey is one lever in that population.
Gotcha. How has AI itself, from the vantage point of your company and what has it done to the customer experience?
I will tell you that it is revolutionizing our customer experience. I mentioned earlier about dashboard and analytics and how that will serve up the information, and the power is not the information, it's what you do with that information. So identifying the trends and the challenges and the opportunities and then acting on that. I think that's a game changer for our industry, and the way that companies are going to act on information now and in the future. And then the other thing that's going on is the pace of development for feature and function and customer. We get customer requirements all the time. And so what AI is allowing us to do is to analyze the features and functions, score it against the market research that we're doing on the features and functions, and then coding and the speed of coding and bringing those products to market is also a game changer for us. Like, we're innovating at a much faster clip than we had been in the past. So it's everything from the user experience and the user intelligence and the data intelligence, all the way down to how fast we can understand market trends and analysis and bring new products to market that are valuable for our customers.
In your industry, the customer research, customer feedback, at what point is a human in the loop needed in the analyzation of data and all of the mass information you're collecting?
Such a great question, because it's something that we think.
My job to ask good questions.
It's something we think about all the time. And it actually came up earlier this week as well, because as you start to automate processes, right? And, there's some things that, agentic agents will have more and more capabilities as we move on. I mean, there's still security parameters and things that we have to solve for, and platform to platform integration and things like that. But there's no question that processes will become more integrated using AI, right? And there are absolutely critical points in those business processes where you want human intervention, right? You may automate survey collection, right? And you may then say, okay, I've just sent all these surveys. I got all these responses. I've improved my response rate, which is the holy grail. Right now, I've got statistically relevant analysis and data. But then you want to say, okay, did I survey the right populations? Did I receive what I thought my original goal was versus that? There will be checkpoints in the business process. So after you validate, yes, okay, the survey information is great. This is exactly what we wanted. Then you move on to the analytics phase, right? You can feed it right in and do all the analysis. But then you want to say, okay, this is what the trends are saying. And what customers are asking us is, I want to be able to have a human click on the open text analysis themes that are coming up that AI is telling us. And I want to be able to go down into the detail in terms of what responses sum up to these themes that the open text analysis is saying, right? Based on the AI. So there are absolutely elements within the entire process of feedback that you're going to want to make sure that there are human checkpoints and decision-making points in.
You're in the customer experience business, and every company out there wants to claim everyone knows that customer service, outstanding customer experiences is key. What advice do you have to leaders on how you build a culture and the right systems to truly maximize that?
Yeah, I would say I constantly talk to our employees about this, right? We're in the customer experience and feedback segment, and we have to be an exemplar to our clients. And one of the things that separates us is our management and support. So when we look at our customer feedback and we make sure that we are acting, that all of our customers can call us at any time. They have a phone number, they get a live agent. We truly believe that one of our key differentiators is customer success and customer support. And, a lot of our clients have that same kind of passion and mentality around taking that feedback and driving it for business outcomes. And so my recommendation is, don't use customer feedback as just a market research tool, but truly use it to drive operational improvement in the business, in the services that you offer, in the products you offer, making it truly part of your operational processes moving forward. That's really my biggest advice I could give clients.
What percent have you seen out there? And of course, this is going to vary by industry, by sector, by size of company, but what percent of leadership teams do you think actually make decisions based on real customer data versus going with their gut instincts and politics? So it's kind of like an insider scoop you've seen on that.
I would say it's probably no more than 40%. I bet it's probably closer to 30% that are truly using it to drive business. We had a company kickoff and a sales kickoff in January, and we had customers come in every day and speak to us. And it's amazing that the companies that are using feedback to identify new segments of an existing product or a brand, to identify new products, to understand challenges with the existing products, when they truly operationalize that feedback, it is incredible the business performance that results in that. But I think, NPS, a lot of companies have NPS, but it stops at NPS. If you don't act on that data, you're not going to get the business value out of the platform.
So with that, how do you guide your clients to make sure that feedback data that they're getting is not just another dashboard they're looking at? How do you push your clients to, all right, that's a pretty dashboard. Wow, my NPS score is 90. I like it. How do you push, whether they're your clients, whether it's people in the industry, to have that not just be another dashboard?
Yeah, it's incumbent on us to inform our clients around kind of the maturity model or maturity curve in customer success, right? And we use real customer examples and best practices to show customers not just like where they're at today and what the future looks like in 6 months or 12 months, but also kind of what the really high performing companies that are using customer success are really capable of. So we show them like the art of the possible as well. And providing them guidance throughout that maturity curve is something that all of our teams do, from sales to customer success to support. They all understand that maturity model and that maturity curve, and making sure that we are guiding clients to drive more and more value out of their feedback platform.
I like it. Martin, what's a really hard decision you've had to make as CEO that you think others might have avoided?
I would say a really hard decision for me was, do we spend time and effort and money on some tech debt that we had, or do we just drive for, kind of new product and introducing new features and functions? And, as a company our size, right, less than 300 employees, those decisions matter. And, ultimately we decided that we had to make some investment to retire some things, because information and security and customer information is a high priority for us. So we wanted to make sure that we had complete security around our platform. And that was a hard decision, because you have the sales teams and the customer success teams and customers saying, we want all these features, but you also have to say, man, you know what? The first principle is making sure that we lock down our data and we protect our customers and our platform. And so I think it was a hard decision to make, because you always have these trade-offs going on. So that's an example.
If you were working with a client and they lost 20% of their customers suddenly, how would you grab them by the neck, and what would it reveal about their strategy?
So the first thing I would say is, what's your data telling you? Why did you lose the 20%? Have you compared like your offering? So one of the things we offer is competitive analysis. So we can go in and look at the competitors of that company and see what they're doing versus what this company's doing, right? So we would use some tools and techniques to first say, what's the data telling you? And then, how do you start to drive that improvement, whether that's a mobile application or a product or a service, and start to look at the trending and analysis, and you could even, put in things like we even do brand tracking, right? Where customers, they may see their brand start to diminish. So we could put in some early warning features and early warning signs before it gets to that point even, right? So that's what I would do. I mean, I would look at the data, and then I would basically put in mechanisms in place to make sure that we're monitoring from a feedback perspective across the business, across functions, and then try to put in some early warning signals as well.
Martin, thank you so much for getting uncensored with us today. You have an amazing background. I love your mission of what you're doing in Alchemer. It's, at the end of the day, it's one of the most important things that any business leader needs to focus on. If they're not, there's a big problem. You guys are no doubt cutting edge, ahead of the curve on this. Before we wrap, what's your no BS advice for today's tech leaders out there who are trying to build, scale, or even just survive in these interesting times?
I would say, don't ruminate on decisions. Make the decision and move on. When we go back to the two challenges I mentioned around speed of innovation and speed of information, you don't have time to ruminate. Make the decision and move on is my best advice to you. In this day and age, you've got to act.
I like it. Martin, thank you so much. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm Steve Taplin. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and hit subscribe. Remember to fail hard, win big, and always build what matters. See you next time. That's a wrap. Another great episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun doing this show. I love talking with great tech leaders. As a side note, if you're interested, check out my new book, Fail Hard, Win Big. This is the story of how I built 30 companies, failed on 20, and turned 10 into multi-million-dollar wins. The common thread with all of them was custom software. Also, if you need software development help out there, my company, Sonatafy Technology,
We deliver world-class software development engineers out of Latin America. We have a solid track record of helping companies launch better products and faster. Thanks again for listening. Appreciate it and appreciate you.